All right. If you've spent decades in the corporate world, you know this feeling. You've just walked away from a role that defined a huge part of your life. And now there's just this silence. Today, we're going to dive right into how to navigate that silence and reclaim who you really are. You're at a party, right? A family gathering, a networking thing, and then it happens. Someone smiles and asks that one simple question. For maybe 20 years, you had a crisp, clean answer ready to go. But now there's a pause. That little hesitation, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Let's be real. That title, director, VP, senior manager, it was way more than just a job description. It was a social shortcut, wasn't it? It signaled your value, your place in the world. In a way, it was your shield. It answered all the unspoken questions before anyone even had to ask. And that's the real thought that's lurking behind that awkward silence, isn't it? When the one thing that made you feel important, that gave you your footing in a room, is suddenly gone, man, it can feel like the floor just dropped out from under you. This question is the very heart of the identity quake so many of us feel. So let's get into it because this is so important to understand. This feeling is not a personal failure, not at all. Corporate systems are often designed to absorb your identity. When you spend a third of your life or more at work, it's not a character flaw for your sense of self to get tangled up in your career. It's practically inevitable. This feeling actually has a name. It's called enmeshment. It's that moment when the line between who you are and what you do gets so blurry that you honestly can't separate them anymore. Your job and your actual personhood kind of fuse together. So when that role disappears, it doesn't just feel like a transition. It feels like you've lost a fundamental part of you. Do any of these sound a little too familiar? Skipping that brunch with friends just to avoid the question? Feeling that wave of guilt for just relaxing on a Saturday? These aren't just weird quirks. They are classic signs that your identity has become deeply, deeply enmeshed with your career. If this is hitting home right now, just take a breath. You're in exactly the right place. Okay, so here's where we make a turn. We have to reframe what's happening here. This uncertain, pretty uncomfortable season where you don't know how to answer that question, it can be an incredibly powerful interruption in your life. It's not just about something being taken away. It's about making space for something entirely new. This is the mindset shift. What if this isn't a crisis, but it's an invitation? What if it's not a detour, but just a new part of the path? And what if it's not a punishment for leaving, but preparation for what's next? The words we use to frame this experience, they change everything. This is the core takeaway right here. For years, you had an assignment. You were chosen for projects, you were picked for promotions, you were given a seat at the table. But your core identity, who you are at your absolute essence, that doesn't get reorganized. It doesn't get cut in a downsizing. It doesn't end just because your access badge stopped working. Okay, so how do we move forward from here? We're used to having a plan, a strategy, but let me give you a word of caution. Don't rush to build the next thing. Please. The most important work you can do right now is the inside work. So let's just walk through 5 practical steps to start reclaiming you. So here's your roadmap. It all starts with just giving yourself permission to be in a becoming season. Then you're going to reconnect with yourself, remember some of those old passions, check in on your inner circle, and only then do you start to quietly explore what might be next. Now, I need you to really lean in for this part. There's a fear that comes with any major life transition, a fear that all that time and all that energy you poured into your career might have been for nothing. Let's tackle that one head on. This is the question that can keep you up at night, right? Am I really about to start over? Maybe you're 45, maybe 50, you've been in one industry for decades, and the thought of starting from scratch can be absolutely terrifying. The answer to that question is a resounding no. You are not starting over. You are starting from experience, decades of it, every tough boss, every tight deadline, every complex project. That wasn't a waste. It was training. You don't have a setback. You have a huge head start. Think about it. The skills that make you so invaluable in the corporate world are now your transferable superpowers. Leadership becomes guiding clients through their own transformations. Problem solving becomes helping real people with their real issues. You weren't just working, you are building an incredible professional toolkit that you now get to take with you. I really want you to let this sink in. Every single challenge, every season that stretched you to your absolute limit, it all served a purpose. It was all preparing you for whatever is coming next. You weren't just building someone else's dream. You were being forged for your own. So we end here. The question was never really, who am I without my job? The real question, the one that holds all the excitement for your next chapter, is this one. Who were you always meant to become now that you finally have the space to find out?